save us.
Well, hello, spooky friends. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about Lilith. What is the truth surrounding Lilith, and why is she seen as such a dark figure? A demon, a night hag, a seductress, a thing of nightmares, or even as a wretched crone. Lilith continues to serve as a source for material in modern Western culture, literature, occultism, fantasy, and horror. She's appeared on many TV shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and even was named after a character on Seinfeld. So what's her real story? Where does it begin? Well, for more than 4,000 years, she's walked the earth, touching every single part of our culture. Every single culture has stories based on her. She has been intrinsic in art, imagination, and appears in some of the oldest writings ever discovered. Her reputation as a mighty Jezebel permeates the Hebrews, the Greeks, the Babylonians, and the Israelites. Believe it or not, the first time we see Lilith is actually in the ancient poem, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is often regarded as one of the earliest surviving pieces of great literature, dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE, which tells the story of the hero Gilgamesh, who searches in vain for eternal life. When he tries to help the goddess of love by cutting down a tree to create her throne, they both discover that the wood has been plagued by an ancient demon, Anzu, the demon bird, and the demoness, Lilith, who had used the center of the tree to create her home. Gilgamesh dons his armor valiantly and slays the demon, sending Lilith running. Some believe her name derives from an ancient Sumerian word called Lilith, which is now also referred to as female demon. The Lilith are described as beautiful and alluring, yet dangerous, and they seek the destruction of anybody they don't like. They tend to target pregnant women or young children, and act aggressively to those who they wish to intimidate. The Lilith dwell deep in the desert and other isolated dark places, and have breasts filled with liquid toxins instead of milk. The alphabet of Sirah depicted Lilith in a whole other light, sometime around 1000 CE. She was depicted more of a bitchy wife, for lack of a better term. There are 2 accounts of Lilith in the Bible, Genesis. One way that the story can be explained is that when God made Adam, God took the same dust that Adam was made from and created a companion, Lilith. And so then it became time for them to procreate, because that was the purpose of making these people, is that they would procreate. They couldn't decide who would be on top. To be fair, they were created at the same time, and there was no one prior to this setting a precedent to what Lilith should or should not be. So why wasn't she allowed to decide to be what she wanted to be? The Almighty fashioned her as Adam's loyal companion, but she had other plans. And they had a battle back and forth, and Lilith had had enough, of Adam saying that he was going to be the one on top, literally and figuratively. But because of her refusal to submit to Adam, God gave her the choice: either you submit or you leave the Garden of Eden. And Our Lady Lilith left the Garden of Eden. And the interesting part about that is that the angels came to her and they said, "Lilith, please come back to the Garden of Eden." And she said, "No, I am not going to return. I don't want to be treated that way. We are equal." And so she said, "I would rather be on my own and, have God take the idea of children from me than to go back and be lesser than, when I know that we're equal. We were created equal, and in God's eyes, we should be equal." I find that really beautiful. I really like that part of the story and that type of interpretation of it, because the Bible does explain it that way. However, it's interpreted as Lilith is evil and she turns into a demon and flies away, which is simply not the truth, in my opinion. So why is that so wrong? Why is she depicted as this evil temptress that forewent this beautiful Eden? This is why she is such a powerful female figure. She refused to stand down. She just wanted to be equal. Another part of the story that's not discussed is that Lilith, when she's in the desert or just away from the Garden of Eden, finds a lover. They say a demon lover, but it's just a lover that is not in the Garden of Eden. And she has children with him, and God, as a punishment, tells the angels to kill 100 of her babies daily until she returns. So the cycle begins of Lilith having babies and having them murdered. So that's when she starts to say, okay, well, over the dominion of men, I'll take a male baby within 8 days and a female baby within 12. And that's kind of where that story came from with that. And I just find that so interesting that God is supposed to be all powerful, all forgiving, all loving, and yet he's murdering her babies by the hundreds daily. In only just chapter 2, one chapter after mentioning that Lilith was created at the same time as Adam, the scholars stated that Adam was created first out of clay and Eve was made from his rib. So why in the Bible would it state one thing and then change to another? There's a really simple explanation. This may have happened when they were stitching together two likely stories that were being created for the Bible. Remember that the Bible was written by man and translated many times. So what they might have done was taken one story and another and stitched them together in the Bible. It's often referred to now as Eve, but commonly believed that they were talking about Lilith. One theory that I really like is that because she left the Garden of Eden, she was able to see night and became the goddess of the moons, or the goddess of fertility. That's something that I can more get behind with Lilith, is that she is more of this feminine energy. One thing to understand about the Bible is that it was written by men and it was translated many times. So Lilith being written out of it, or Lilith being demonized, is not that unpredictable. In the Zohar, in the Jewish faith, she's depicted as the snake in the garden after she's decidedly not wanted to submit to Adam. In this way, they blame the fall of man not only on a person, but on a woman. Specifically, they use the term a woman's perniciousness. According to Zohar, Lilith was in league with Satan and is the ultimate figure of women's wickedness. She wanders about at nighttime, vexing the sons and men, and causing them to defile themselves. Zohar 18b. One legend even states that she disguised herself as the Queen of Sheba in order to seduce King Solomon, but he spied her hairy legs and saw her for what she was, which is really stupid because women didn't shave their legs back then, but I digress. She exists on her own folkloric plane of existence, often described as a night hag who's incredibly merciless, and often used to describe the phenomenon of sleep paralysis. Literally stated in cultural texts that she sits on your chest and drains your life force. Lilith does appear in the Bible, specifically in Isaiah 34:14, when a sword-wielding Yahweh seeks the destruction of the infidel Edomite, who were long enemies of the ancient Israelites. He finds himself in a desert of purgatorial chaos, where goat demons and wildcats wander the plains without purpose, and the she-devil Lilith is known to reside here. Although not depicted so often in the Bible, historians believe it's because she was much spoken about previously, and so it wasn't necessary to constantly explain her in the Bible when she was common knowledge. And this comes from the oral histories and artistic depictions that are known to be of Lilith. Interestingly, she's often seen in many cultures wandering the desert. It might be the depiction of her barrenness, where there is no warmth, no life, and no companionship, because she left the Garden of Eden. One thing that I really like about Lilith is that she is the opposite of masculinity. She's feminine, she's powerful. If men are blue, then she's red. And it's believed that the term night hag may have been mistranslated. The correct term for her would be the night monster. The dark image of Lilith resurfaces again in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were discovered in an ancient cave in the Jordan River, which is now referred to as the West Bank. The writings refer back to 150 BCE and include manuscripts of historical, religious, and linguistic significance, all of which predate the Bible and the ancient beliefs of Judaism. The Talmud describes her as a beastly, sexy seductress. And this is around the 5th century BCE. Lilith appears as a long-haired demon with wings who could attach herself to a sleeping person. She always seems to find her way back to your sleep. Maybe it's because it's when a man feels most vulnerable that Lilith would be able to attack him, that he should fear her, because a big strong man is nothing when he's snoring. Lilith is seen here, woven into each story, a dark, shadowy figure haunting the world since the beginning of time. Because Lilith has existed for so long and is thought to be so evil, as you can imagine, there are many ways to ward her off if you so choose to do so. One is of a limestone plaque often hung in the home of a pregnant woman to protect her from Lilith coming to take her baby. One translation of an artifact found literally states, "O you who fly in the darkened rooms, be off with you this instant, Lilith, thief, breaker of bones." And this plaque is supposed to protect you and your children from Lilith coming in and taking your children away. Because Lilith is assumed to be a demon, also the Ain, or the evil eye, will also protect you from her. These amulets and protections were often used and worn as a way to ward off infant mortality and the demise of young mothers in childbirth. Very happily though, Lilith today is more seen as a feminist figure, a strong, powerful woman, a figure for us all to look up to. She's become more likable and intelligent, praised for her ability to stand up to the man. The story of The Coming of Lilith by Judith Plaskow is a more modern depiction of Lilith, where she goes back to the Garden of Eden and through the wall speaks to Eve. Eve recognizes her as being a woman just like herself. They become friends. A sisterhood grows between them, much to the chagrin of God and Adam. She's a feminist, a misfit. She's often transposed into the very human journey of finding companionship and fear of being alone. I like that there's this ancient, powerful woman. So what are your thoughts? Is Lilith the source of evil? Is she something to be feared? Or is she something really beautiful and powerful? Please put them in the comment section down below. Also, be sure to like, and if you're not already, please subscribe. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and nearly daily on TikTok. I'm gonna go and hopefully dream of Lilith tonight. I mean, the girl just wanted to do what she wanted to do. Girls just want to have fun.